Hello, good morning. It's Wednesday, and here from TV3 at this hour, this is Newday. My name is Anthony Jackson. Let's look at some news making headlines for this morning. Director General of Ghana Maritime Authority, Kwame Owusu, questions TV3's motive in carrying out stories he deems mischievous about him and the institution. Group of journalists rallying support to get the right to information bill passed prevented from entering Parliament House. Some indigents of Japikrom in Accra call for the resignation or immediate removal of the German South Municipal Chief Executive over the recent shooting and killing of 3 persons in the town. And on the foreign front, Pakistani court overturns death sentence for Christian woman in blasphemy case. Let's start from the law courts, where Accra High Court has decided to have an in-camera hearing of the testimony of one of the witnesses in the National Communication Authority case involving former board chairman Eugene Bafo Boni and 4 others. This follows an oral application by the Director of Public Prosecution, Yvonne Atakra Obobisia, who maintained the 3rd prosecution witness disclosure borders on state security. Here's a report by Selom Amenya.
The Director of Public Prosecutions premised their application on Article 19, Clause 15 of the 1992 Constitution, which gives exceptions to some cases bordering on state security, public safety and public morality to be heard in camera. According to Yvonne Atakra Obobisa, the information to be provided by the 3rd prosecution witness, who is also a national security representative, borders on national security, hence the application for the court presided over by Justice Eric Che Bafo to clear the court excusing persons with exception of the accused persons and their lawyers, prosecution lawyers as well as the witness. Counsels for the accused persons objected the oral application on a number of grounds, including the mode of the application, which some were of the view should have been by a formal application. They contended that they have been surprised by the application which they did not have foreknowledge of. However, the court in its ruling maintained the DPP had invoked Article 19, Clause 15 of the Constitution and also considering the overriding matter of state security and granted the application, hence an order clearing the court of all persons apart from the parties in the case.
And the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Kwame Owusu, has questioned TV3's motive in carrying out stories he deems as mischievous about him and the institution. He was reacting to a leaked memo on payments made on a luncheon by the authority to his private hotel. Kwamlak Luche has the rest of the story.
The Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Kwame Owusu, walked into the news conference after facing the board on Tuesday morning. His mission was simple: tearing down one by one the allegations of unjustified expenditure and conflict of interest.
We will not yield to people who want to extort. I will not yield.
With the compliment of the management team, the Director General was resolute. He is alleged to be holding 2 passports with different dates of birth. So the question was put.
The minister has instituted some investigation to be conducted by the board. The very board you had indicated that had given approval of your hotel supplying lunch for the stakeholder meetings. Do you trust of a fair investigation?
You are being a leader of championing the mischief. In the first place, you even have gone far to take a picture of my hotel and put it in. So it's no wonder your question. And if you are questioning the integrity of the board, if you are going to question, just as you've been doing, the integrity of the minister, it is not me to tell you whether the board will be fair or not fair. And I don't know whether you think you should have brought timber contractors to do that.
Then a second question was put.
Do you have any relationship with the contractor who is putting up the building that is supposed to house you, the contractor in name of One Kusia Global Ventures?
Minister and heads of states, Kennedy and the rest, they have their brothers as this and that. I know of people, and the people are Ghanaians, that have the right to contest a tender. And if it's because of that, they will not be able to contest. I did not give it to anybody. It was run even outside of me. And you're going to stand here, as you have been asking questions, that because somebody happened to know me, they can never do a tender in this organization. Kamala, that is below the belt. Even if my wife was to disclose and tender, and he has the capability to do something, and we shouldn't give it and give it to our enemies, you would have been wrong. I did not make the decision. It was based on numbers. Kamala, please, let us not delve into trivialities. Enough for TV3. You've had enough.
Some supporters of the Director General heckled the reporter moments after the news conference.
Well, the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, Edem Senanu, wants another body like the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, STRAJ, to take up investigations into the case. He spoke to Alfredo Kanse on News 360.
The appropriate court of interest in this instance would be the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, because earlier on we've had a Supreme Court ruling that shows that issues of conflict of interest ought to be delved into by the Commission, and they are the right quarters where they can do the investigation and give an objective view on this conflict of interest issue and what should be happening. I don't think that the board is the appropriate quarters, because they themselves are implicated in the process by virtue of what the chief executive has told us. And so it is not appropriate for the board to be the one investigating. If you want an objective and independent report on this that everybody will find credible, then to the commission we must go.
Right. So how about the bit on the conflict of interest? Because you hit hard on that. He has actually confirmed that this hotel we're talking about is his, and now also confirming what we have been putting out all the while, which he describes as mischief. Per the definition of a conflict of interest, is it a classic case of conflict of interest? If it is, what should we be seeing government do about this? What we have been putting out all the while, which he describes as mischief, per the definition of a conflict of interest, is it a classic case of conflict of interest? If it is, what should we be seeing government do about this?
In the processes leading to the award, the question is this: did the chief executive recluse himself such that he was not involved in any way in any of the steps leading to the award? If he did recluse himself and on a purely independent, objective basis, a competent team put together, as it were, reviewed the bid or whatever proposal, and out of the various bids that were submitted, they found this particular entity competent and with the right type of pricing that would meet the needs of the institution, then yes, we don't have an issue. And it is only when this has been investigated that we can arrive at the conclusion that the chief executive did not influence any of these steps. He actually took steps to ensure that he was reclused, and that at the end of the day, the most competent and value for money bid was given. Then we can draw the conclusion that yes, this is a situation where he did not influence the process and there's no conflict of interest.
Let's head over to Parliament, where the House has employed the services of a sign language interpreter to enhance the work of the House. This was announced by the Speaker, Professor Michael Quay, in his welcome address as the House resumed its sitting after recess.
First time the legislature has employed the services of sign language interpreters. The Speaker in his opening remarks said he is hopeful the services of the sign language interpreters would enhance the work of Parliament and bridge the gap between the public and the House. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu commended the Speaker for the innovation.
Let me commend you for the novelty of the sign language you have introduced as part of your reforms, except to say that the communications department must just observe the font as we are looking and reduce the signs. When Mr. Speaker was himself giving his opening remarks, he almost got covered by it. Technology-wise, it can be repositioned or resituated. By the ideal thing of introducing this, Mr. Speaker, you have paid your dues to persons with disability to appreciate the work we do.
While still in Parliament, Majority Leader Osei Mentabunsu says the legislature cannot be pressurized to pass the Right to Information Bill into law. This was after a group of journalists rallying support to get the bill passed were prevented from entering Parliament.
The Media Coalition on RTI had planned to storm the public gallery of Parliament to put pressure on the lawmakers to rectify the bill, which was on the day's order paper. After proceedings, the Majority Leader Osei Mentabunsu said the legislators are committed in passing the bill into law, but cannot be forced to do so.
We know what we must do. We are not responding to any pressure. We know what we must do, and we'll do it. The people of this country have sent us here to do a good job for them, and that is what we are going to do.
He was, however, unsure if the bill would be passed before the reading of the 2019 budget on November 15 by the Finance Minister.
Even if we are not able to do it by then, when the budget is presented, we debate the principles. After the debate on the principles, then we go into various sectors to do the consideration of the various sector allocations. We usually have about a week before the reports start coming in. So altogether, I guess we have at least about 3-4 weeks. And I believe within the 3-4 weeks, we will do whatever it takes to complete this bill.
The RTI bill has been in and out of Parliament for more than 10 years, with successive governments failing to pass it into law.
Now, Parliament's Education Committee says it will begin the consideration of the 2019 fees and charges of public universities from Thursday, November 1. Some members of the House have argued that increasing fees without parliamentary approval is unlawful.
The Fees and Charges Act 2009 Act 793, which was amended by the legislative instrument LI 2228/2016, seeks to safeguard the public against arbitrary and haphazard charges and levying of students by universities. The Act requires all vice-chancellors to seek parliamentary approval for whatever fees and levies they intend to charge before sending them out to students. Chairman of the Education Committee of Parliament, Siaka Stevens, disclosed that the University of Ghana had presented its fees and charges for the 2019 academic year.
The petition from Legon with regard to their fees charging 2018-2019 is there right now. I must commend them. So we are here to settle. We just reconvene and we want to put things together before we call them. So the memo has been referred to me right now as I'm speaking.
On the recent incident at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, the chairman indicated the committee would invite the education minister and relevant stakeholders on the matter.
All that we've been hearing, some of them are media, social media trends, others are this, that. The facts are disjointed. We don't get the correct situation on the ground. So as a nation, we should be able to know what is actually at stake, what happened, and where are we going from where we stand today. And I think for that, it will guide everybody. So we'll soon do that.
Now, some indigents of Japekrom in Accra are calling for the resignation or immediate removal of the German South Municipal Chief Executive following the recent shooting and killing of 3 persons in the town. They claim his continuous stay in office could influence ongoing investigations into the case.
Honorable Alhaji Abu, the Municipal Chief Executive Officer of German South, is directly complicit in the orchestrated barbaric attack on innocent men, women and children, and has no credibility to continue in office as MCE of the German South Municipality.
The group noted the incident is a criminal case, and should not be discarded under the guise of a non-existent land and chieftaincy litigation. The group called on the police to expedite action on their investigation and bring the perpetrators to book to calm the nerves of aggrieved family members.
Why did the MC ask for a meeting with the police at a critical moment and in the middle of the walk, exposing the over 1,000 unarmed men, women, young and old, to the assailants? Couldn't Honorable Alhaji Abu suspend the so-called important meeting for just 20 minutes for the police to escort the pilgrims to their destination?
The group condemned the act, describing the incident as shameful and barbaric.
Well, let's do some international news now. Pakistani's Supreme Court on Wednesday overturned the conviction of a Christian woman sentenced to death for blasphemy against Islam's prophet, ordering her to be freed if she was not accused of any other crime. The Chief Justice overturned the conviction by the High Court that had sentenced Asia Bibi, a mother of 4, to death in 2010. Her case has outraged Christians worldwide and been a source of division within Pakistan, where 2 politicians sought to help her from being assassinated. A hardline Islamist party has threatened street protests if Bibi were to be freed or her sentence reduced. And that's it for news for this morning. Newday returns shortly after the break.
By day, dear Lord, of thee 3 things I pray: to see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly, follow thee more nearly, day by day. Good morning. It's Wednesday and the very final day of October 2018. I'm thinking New Year resolutions for 2018. How far? So far, so good?
I haven't really, analyzed what my resolutions were, whether I'm actually living up to it or not. Because this year, what I said to myself was not to make the resolutions, but to consciously make an effort to change. So I had, change areas in my life that I actively will look at. Because for some reason, I felt I had become too used to the resolutions and I wasn't really living up to it, because I felt, I'm going to assess myself at the end of the year and see. But I think what I did for myself this year has actually seen some change in myself, and I'm happy at, where I am now. I certainly will do better, and maybe next year again, I'll change my plan and see how best to do it. But anyway, guys, today we have a very interesting program lined up for you. We'll be talking about Hobechocho, which is a festival for the Voltarians. We'll have people in studio to tell you more about it and why you should join them there in the Volta region. Then we'll also talk about body odor. Johnny. Nunu sense.
Imagine you are in an air-conditioned room, enclosure. Somebody walks in, changes the momentum of the place. Jesus. And then after he's done, he walks out.
Oh, yes.
Or she's done, he walks
And you see, the interesting thing is how people don't even realize that they have the odor, but you, the other person, bystander, you suffer the thing.
But if you are in the frame, you can't see the photo. Somebody has to see the photo. Yeah, so that's how we'll be talking about it. And then, of course, talented kids, young King Clef, he's been to Dubai and back. What did he bring us? We'll get to hear about it. But today, all we want to do with Daily Rant is that simple. We want you to tell us the issues in your community. So more like a community connect on your television. And our WhatsApp line is 02021 66633. That's 02021 66633. It could be photos, it could be, explaining the issues, whatever it is. You got potholes, your chop bar, madam is not doing you well, and all the issues. Let's talk about it on Daily Rants. That's what we're going to do. So I will go over to the screen and then we will be sharing thoughts on those ones, just so your duty bearers get to see what they really are. If you have some good news also in your community, you could share with us.
Johnny, let me start. I have issues in my community. I'll start off with the Achimota Hospital Road. Interestingly, over the weekend, I think Achimota School had a speech and prize giving day, and so the road as a Monday had been tarred from the junction to the school. But the side that branches to the hospital has still not been worked on. And I'm calling on duty bearers, whoever they are, because I know our administration and the medical superintendent have been on it, and they've been giving excuses or reasons as to why there's been some delay. But I'm calling on all duty bearers and anyone who's involved with those roads or anyone who can help to try and at least come and solve that road. Because my heart breaks for those, you know, sick people who have to ply that road. Johnny, you can imagine even when I'm healthy and I have to ply that road, I'm not amused. It actually spoils my mood. So when you're sick and you have to go through a bumpy road, and there's nothing much you can do because you want to access the hospital, it's not amusing. I think something has to be done about it.
The Achimota Hospital itself has a few challenges that needs fixing because it comes from the pre-colonial era. Now in the 21st century, in modern day Ghana, and we still are telling some of these stories about it. I took the issue up. I went to the assembly and they told me, well, as usual, there's no money. So they are looking for money. When they find money, they'll come and deal with it. And that's the last I heard of it. But we'll follow up with it and check out
and then my communities yes, I'm concerned about my community. You know, when you're moving from the N1 and you use the slip road that goes to Akwetiman, there's now a big pothole. And so you have to sort of meander against it. And if you do that, you're going into someone's traffic. And I wish they would, you know, go and look at it, because it was not too long ago that I thought they asphalted parts of the road. So I'm wondering why that big manhole has developed all of a sudden.
It was the bridge from the Achimota end coming on to La Paz, just close by Akwetiman. The bridge that had a hole in it. So they came to patch it and they asphalted it. I thought they would have extended to where you're talking about, but they stopped there. So let's say good morning to Honorable Fusaini Issa. He is the Member of Parliament for Kakwe North. This falls within your purview, I'm sure. Honorable, good morning to you. We're not telling you to go and fix the road. We're just greeting you. You're our friend. So it's good to greet you sometimes, And to Honorable Boniface Abubakar Sadiq. He works at the Office of the Vice President. He is the MP for Medina. He sat on this platform after we put questions to him, and he promised us that in the month of October, the contractor would move onto site at the Medina Adenta Highway and get the bridges completed. He said the project will start in October. Today is 31st October. In fact, when he made the promise earlier, I think on 2nd or the 3rd of October, he said, oh, October has just begun and it has 31 days. So we should hold on. Now the 31 days have come and will end today. Honorable, what's up? What's happening? Good morning to you. Yesterday, somebody called me that, oh, he has delivered the message to Honorable. I said, I don't believe you. If Honorable hears the message, he will call us. He will let us know, because he promised us that the Minister for Roads and Highways has assured him that, you know, we will get some help. Now the help is not coming, and the people at Medina Adenta are threatening to hit the streets on the 12th of November. In fact, they've had a press conference last Sunday, and so we are begging you, Honorable. Good morning to you.
But on that note, good morning to my nurses and the staff at Achimota Hospital. I'll be seeing you later in the day, and God bless you for the work you're doing. And to all the nurses and doctors around the world, make sure you keep on doing the best. Don't wait for people to acknowledge what you're doing, but God definitely sees your hard work. But Johnny,
for a moment I thought they had done something wrong.
Oh, so. No, they have been good. I'm clapping for them.
Let's start.
We need to encourage them with the little they do, because we have, you know, challenge. Johnny, you're in the mood of spoiling things and doing destroyer actions. But anyway, you'd have to pick all that. So good morning, and we hope that, I mean, just do the little you can. Make sure you're contributing your quota to Ghana, because someone somewhere appreciates the little you do. That good morning you said to that ailing woman certainly changed their mood. That smile that you gave to that brother out there certainly made him feel better, and he came out of his depressed mood to go out there and be great. Johnny?
Good morning one more time. And Daily Graphic says FIFA bans Nyantechi for life. Fined 497,497 francs. That's about 2.4 million Ghana cedis. And GS releases academic calendar. First semester single track ends December 22nd or 22, and green track vacates November 8th. That's on the front page of the Daily Graphic for today, the 31st of October 2018, the year of our Lord. So FIFA is banned, Kwesi Nyantechi. Ghanaian Times says President woos German conglomerate. And I am not corrupt. GMA boss, that's the Ghana Maritime Authority boss, singling out TV3 and saying that, well, enough of our mischief. I don't know what he's talking about. FIFA bans Kwesi Nyantichi for life. And GRA locks up self-line officers. Okay, GRA is retrieving its money there. The Ghanaian Times front page stories in your shorts right now. Daily Guide. Germans, Siemens coming. And Mahama bodyguards on rampage. Beat up journalists. Our own Parker there, multimedia, was beating. He has a red eye there. Why? Why would anybody close to power beat journalists? Why? Why is that so? Anyway. Asamoah Gyan files for divorce, and GBA wades into KNUST saga. Not the Ghana Boxing Authority. That's the Ghana Bar Association I'm talking about. They've waded into it. The Daily Statesman, don't pressure Parliament over RTI bill. Osaichi Mensah-Bonso. Leader, why? Why should we pressure you? Why? NDC renews attacks on media, and 2 newsmen assaulted. Oh, Siemens to set up in Ghana. Akufo-Addo chases investment. And Today newspaper, Goosey boys cry over intimidations, and doctor offer free healthcare for communities. There are doctors there, pack of doctors there doing community service. And students on rampage, destroys cars, bikes, and ransacks teachers' homes. There on the front page of the Today newspaper. The Independent newspaper says Delta Force, Invisible Forces, terrorists, not vigilante groups. Opariado Pablo says so. And here's the youth organizer of the NDC. And Gold Street Business says businesses worried over impending revocation of banking licenses. Aviation sector attracts U.S. investor interest, and World Bank some $35 million boost land digitization process. That's there on the front page. They find a fresh push for RTI bill. Police prevent media coalition from entering parliament, and majority leader promises November 15 to finish work on the bill. And FIFA bans Nyantichi for life and imposes $500,000 fine on him. Siemens to establish presence in Ghana soon, according to President Akufo-Addo. In Tema, residents live in fear over multiple robbery attacks, which has become rampant these days. Upgraded new Metro TV hits the road again. That's it. Front page stories of the Finder newspaper. And interesting. I think there's one here. Perhaps we should take a look at the Herald newspaper. Came in late. About the RTI bill, media practitioners take on Parliament, and Maritime boss fixes 11 air conditioners in government bungalow as he blows over 1 million on renovation works, aside 168,500 Ghana cedis paid his private hotel for food and drinks. And AG submits 5-year-old fertilizer container to court in Opuni trial. And Mahama offered Joy FM reporter medical treatment. Question is, why was he beaten in the first place? And why was he beaten when he was with the former first president? Former president.
How many presidents do you want? First and second.
But then, I mean, just not so long ago at the 23rd GG Awards, the Minister for Information designate, Kojo Nkrumah, had said that, well, stop beating journalists and pay them well. Now you have President Mahama, who himself has played a lot of ball with the media fraternity and communication fraternity, and around him, or if you like to say, stretch it under his watch. This has happened. Mind you that, you remember the Stan Dogbe incident where a journalist recorder was smashed right by the president one more time and nothing happened. I think it's becoming rampant. And this is perhaps the height of it. So what I tell my fellow journalists is that nobody will come to your aid. If you have to defend yourself, defend yourself. Nobody will come to your aid. This is appalling. It is. Appalling to say the least. Because they are offering medical treatment to the reporter. What happened to the man who assaulted him? He's a man. If he's a man in uniform, what happens to him? Does he keep wearing his uniform?
But in fact, these brutalities oftentimes are happening around politicians. or people in power because they don't want you to say what they're doing when you are uncovering probably a truth, a hidden truth as it were. And so they agitate, they start beating you just so you give back the information that you've been able to retrieve. And we know it's wrong by many standards. And that's why it's these, you know, big names and big shots whose people, unfortunately, will perpetuate it. Because they know they have a power, they have a backing. And that's where this comes from. Like you said, if you don't punish him, how does the other person in your entourage know that we shouldn't be allowed to do this? I mean, they'll keep doing it and it'll become news every time. Johnny, I certainly, condemn their actions. And I think this should not even become headlines anymore. Immediately, the story breaks out. I'm expecting the IGP, I'm expecting the police to take the people on. I don't see, when you come and put it out here, really, are we supposed to clap for yes, President Mahama has done well by at least offering medical treatment, but is that enough? What about the person who perpetrated it? Because if they assault 10 people and you're providing medical treatment for 10 people, doesn't mean we should clap. No, it certainly shouldn't even happen in the first place.
I would have expected that, you know, the former president would have said, look, take this man off my security detail and deal with him as the law, you know, prescribes.
I hope it will.
Deal with him as the law prescribes, because this then becomes a criminal matter, you know, for assaulting too. So deal with him as the law prescribes.
Anyway.
But if you're not dealing with them and you're providing medical support, it gives another person the impetus to do, you know, what they want to do. And that's not good at all. I mean, imagine if yesterday somebody suggested that all journalists should boycott politicians and political parties and the political activities.
And let's see,
and let's see if anything they do will be trumpeted to the world. Let's see.
Unfortunately, because they've got strings and some of them even owning media houses, it's going to be seemingly impossible because you get the private ones still, you know, following them. But anyway, I mean, RTI bill issue. It was interesting for me hearing that the majority leader says you can't give pressure. But however, we're supposed to wait for them until November 15. It's agreeable that you don't necessarily demand external pressure from a source to do your work. However, I think that was a reminder of how you've oftentimes giving us the hope that you're going to pass it, but failed to do so. Right. So for me, I don't think it was pressure. It was just a reminder for them. Right. If you've forgotten about something that's so important to our work, it's a tool we need to be able to efficiently deliver, then we're asking you to at least hasten the process so that we can get it done, so that we can also make sure we're doing our work to serve the nation. I think it's as simple as it is.
If the majority leader is feeling pressure, because we have not started the pressure, so if he's feeling pressure now, then that's good for us. But I do know that I think the Companies Act is before Parliament for reworking. I also do know that they are working towards the budget. Right. So perhaps their focus may have gone onto that direction. But this bill is not a Totofifi bill.
No, it's
this
not.
bill
and Johnny
is
has been
huge.
there for a long time. So I don't think anything has the power to come and supersede it because it's been there. It's not like this is the first time we're sending it to Parliament. You know it. It's on your table. It's constantly there. You constantly, you know, rise from Parliaments, come back, you sit, and it's there.
And
so
I don't
should
know.
Be able to
I don't know.
that.
I don't know since when the security at Parliament will prevent journalists from getting into the gallery. Because we have the press gallery, but into the gallery as ordinary citizens, I don't know when you can identify that these are journalists. Anyway, Kwesi Nyantechi is also in the news, but let's check out what you've got to share with us here. And we'll start off with tilapia. It says, old RTI bill at Parliament's gate. Old RTI bill at Parliament's gate. And that's the gate supposed to be for Parliament. It does look like Parliament's end gate. I don't see the barbed wires there when I go there, but pass, right to information, right to info pass. And it says, I've been waiting for ages. RTI bill is now growing. Oh, look at the length of the beard. Oh, it's amazing there. But what have you to share with us here on our TV watch this morning? We're going all the way into your communities and we're asking questions for you to tell us what the challenges are. Some of them would get featured on subsequent news bulletins, if you will. We'll follow them up. Hi, my name is Williams. I'm enjoying your show from Tessano. Frankly speaking, every act of brutality and victimization must be condemned, not only when the person is a journalist. Many policemen have lost their lives and many are victims of brutality from people they are protecting, while the media look on unconcerned, despite some bad nuts among, and it's the same anywhere. Good morning. It saddens me to hear the GJA speak about Jamal Khashoggi when we have same and similar incidents in Ghana? The GJA is Ghana Journalists Association, not worldwide. They're supposed to first speak to their issues first before any other. Who asked something about Jamal Khashoggi? When you people are dying, it's high time we learn to do and speak within our remit. And when you can't kill your own mosquito, you want to kill someone else, such a fly. Yendi Efiasem Joel Eche Klogo says so. From Afari Tadisco down in Takrady, the cars given to the police will make the excuse the institution makes, such as we can't come because we don't have vehicle, and a thing of the past. Thumbs up to the government. Regards to Dominic Etia. Okay, he's been appointed executive director of GNPC Foundation. Aye, where's Bright? We've missed him. Oh yeah, we missed him too, Dora. But Bright is in the hinterland. He will join us shortly. He promised us this week. We don't know why he's here. Maybe we should ask Amma. Amma knows. Johnny, good morning to you. I think journalists in our country are not protected enough to secure their job. But on the idea of brutalism of journalists in our country sometimes comes from the victims themselves, but the nature of how popular they want to sound with their ways of coming out with stories. But then what is good for Amma is good for Kofi. Say no to brutalism of journalism. Felix said that. Mr. Johnny, Fijai, Fian Kwanta Road is so bad. Yes, I agree with you. I've seen that when we went to Takrady, I went to see that road. Terrible, terrible road. The issue with journalism is that the law does not protect it. People be journalists and go free. And this is also that politicians think they are above the law. They are those who normally bail the few people who have been apprehended by police for assaults on journalists. It's bad. Good morning, please. The Wa Regional Hospital is completed, but is not in use. And I'm pleading with the appropriate authority to act now to save lives. Jaman in Wa. Okay, Chaman in Wa. And good morning, TV3 and the crew. Yesterday, I witnessed an accident involving a minibus caused by deep potholes in the road, Tichiman to Bole Road. It occurred specifically between Serepe and Lampoga of the Bole district. No road maintenance. Why? No road maintenance. Why? He's asking. Hi, Johnny and Doctor. My problem has to do with Achimota Old Station. The big trucks, containers, food vendors has a problem in my area. The authorities should sit up. Edwin in Achimota says so. Good morning, Johnny and Dr. Amma. Good morning, Mr. Host. The president should be very cautious about the creation of new regions at contentious areas, for the nations don't worth the life of a single soul, let alone a region in the making. Moses in Chereponi. Hi, this is from Ben from Dambai. I want to remind the president, okay, the promise he made to the people of Dambai that when he becomes president, he would build the bridge over the Oti River. That's what we, the people of Dambai, want, not a new region. Good morning, TV3. I did a video about the state in which the drains are in here in Apeja in the Adansi South Ashanti region. Whenever it rains due to the choked nature of the drains, the rainwater finds its way onto the highway, which is among one of the best highways roads in the Ashanti region. What shocks me is the community sees nothing bad about it. Yeah, we saw that MTN video report, and they were following up on it. Good morning, people of Ghana. The road from Impoho to Obrayabona is in a very bad state. Also, the KG of Obrayabona keeps goats when children close from school. Oh boy, they keep goats in the classroom of the children in the western region. Damn. This is Wahab from Tamale. Please, I want you to help me beg the Tama to help us collect the rubbish at our toilets in the Nalun electoral area. Oh, but who put the rubbish there? You saw them, you didn't ask them to, now you want the assembly to come and collect it. US President Donald Trump said that Africa doesn't have common network. People in Gentiji, Bole district in the northern region cannot report cases through calls and cannot contribute to national development through radio and TV stations due to all-time no network. Kindly come to our aid. Interesting issues there. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, maybe I'll read this very final one. The road from Underbridge that leads to Ajay Kojo through to Kanewu is very terrible, that you can't get home without you developing a fault. Politicians are waiting for campaign year to come and upgrade them and forget about election, and we are waiting for them to show up. Courage, Kanewu. Interesting. There's a lot to talk about this morning. I wish we had, a lot more time to read a few more of your comments, but we'll share them with you at the end of this particular one. Let's take a break now. When we return, there's more here on Newday.
Well, it's time talk about festivals, and not just any festival, but Hobechochoza. And we'll be delving into that with Nutifafa Ama Yevuyibo. She is sponsorship coordinator at the Hobe Institute, and also Dr. Kwashi Kuho, head of Department of Dance Studies at University of Ghana, Legon. Good morning, gentlemen and lady.
Good morning.
So what does Hobechocho mean, or Hobechochoza?
Hobechochoza. I try to give you the tonality. Yes. People find it a bit difficult to pronounce, but I can understand the kind of tonality we use, even when we sing our celestial songs. You know, you have to develop these things as a child. So Hobechocho simply means commemoration of our origin, where we traveled from. The various experiences that we had, our forebears had when they had the journey from various places, from the Ghana Empire down to Ketu, through Ilefe, Nigeria, through Dahomey, Benin, and then to a place called Ngoche in the Republic of Togo. The final sojourn from Ngoche to Togo is what we normally concentrate on, and then we do that to remember all the experiences that they actually received. It may be a very unpleasant experience, but when we celebrate the festival, we ask the question, what can we learn from such experiences, and how can we use that to sort of empower ourselves to deal with future experiences as far as development of our communities as well as ourselves are concerned.
Interesting. So is this celebrated by the whole of, the Volta region, or just specific tribes or clans within the region?
But the whole of the Ewe group. But we have divisions of the Ewe groups. This particular one is for the Anglo people. The Anglo people, we live along the coast of the southeastern area of the Volta region, and the traditional capital is Anglogan. And that is where we have the Grand Deba. If I could go more, I tell you what it is. It is a month-long celebration that begins with what we call Afakaka. Afakaka is popularly known as divination. That's where our chief priest will actually have to interrogate the oracle to know how the festival must be celebrated. And so after the Fakaka, they will have to perform certain rites to prepare the way for the festival. And then we come in to do what we call cleanliness of the whole land. Dorede, apokpokpolo, all of these things are done to clean the whole environment as well as humanity living on the land. And that is followed by Bano drumming. After Bano drumming, then we allow different music and dance groups to come to the Anglo market or Angloga market to display their cultural values through indigenous Anglo music and dance. This happens on a daily basis. Then we, today for instance, we are having the youth Durbar, or different schools in the area will have to hold Durbar or different Durbars today, and then tomorrow we're going to have Mama Hogba, which is a beauty pageant. And after that, Friday will be the Glimatoto. Glimatoto is when we actually tell the narrative of the whole journey in a dramatic form, which is also characterized with Misego dance, a dance of liberation. Then on Saturday, we climax that with the Durbar.
Very well. So Nitifafa, I want to find out what the Hobe Institute has been doing concerning Hobechocho Festival, and why it is so important for you as an institute to help in this.
Okay. The institute has a responsibility to organize the event as a whole. So we take care of everything about the Hobechocho Festival. Everything from scratch to the end. Everything. About sponsorship, which is my field. We look for money to help to make sure that the event happens successfully. Everybody comes there and everybody is happy. We make sure that all sponsors are satisfied because they help us. So we have to make sure that they are satisfied in every way that they agreed with us to do. And to do most our work. We work with TV3, we work with MTN, we work with Volta TV, we work with all the radio stations in the region and some outside the region to make sure that the festival is a success. And to land on my brother's issue, Friday we are also having cultural display, which is called the Festival Friday. That is where all cultural troops come to display what they have. And then food, all our cultural things are displayed there. Food, clothing, everything, beats, dance, drama, everything goes on there. Which it will start on Friday morning till 8 p.m., which will continue with the Glimatutu. So it is the responsibility of the Hogbe Institute to make sure that all these things happens in peace and unity.
Very well. So what dance is being displayed on screen currently? Is that the Glimatutu?
No, that dance is called Misego. Misego is actually the dance they use in breaking through the wall. That was the last activity they performed to be able to run away, because the wall was a very huge one with strong gates. So they targeted a certain portion of the wall and they were pouring wastewater there for many, many years until it became very, very soft. And then the day they broke through it, they walked backwards from the Ngoche police, so that it will be very difficult for Agokoli's people to trace their footprints. It was really
that was very smart of them. But I mean, for those of us who may not be coming from the Volta region, what role or what would you tell us to make us want to come to the Volta to see how Hobichocho is celebrated?
Well, in actual fact, all over Ghana, all over Africa, festivals are embodiments of knowledge bodies, values and virtues of people, and they also function as repositories of, indigenous knowledge, and Anglo's Hogbatso is no exception. So our knowledge bodies are going to be put on display. Indigenous music and dance forms are going to be displayed, and also we will have various traditional systems we have, and then the various deities that they carried when they were coming from on their journey. Notable among them is the Nyigbala. The Nyigbala has music which is actually sung. It's a songs sung by the people called the Jijiao, and they provide special music for that particular deity, and that goes across the whole citizenry of Anglo. We have the Boko. Boko also have their own deity where they sing a fahao, a very, very unique one of them. And if you grew up in the area, you will realize that today modernity, popular culture, contemporary kind of things, these things are trying to push the traditional to the back burner of society. So we always want to go to those festivals to get reunited to our native cultural values. So, and of course, you go there, you get the abobitadi, fetidechi, all these kind of unique food await you.
But finally, just in a second, tell us what the program is going to be like, the lineup, so that we can be there to participate.
Okay. The program lineup goes like my brother said. On today is the Children's Deba, which starts at 9 a.m. and ends around 2 p.m. Then tomorrow is Thursday. We have the Nbidodo in the morning, and then in the evening we have the Mama Hogbe. Then tomorrow, Friday, in the morning, we have the Festival Friday. During that same morning going, our mafia will be sitting in state. And then in the evening, we have Glimatutu. Then Saturday, the Beauty Day. I call it the Beauty Day. Because we expose our beauty. Not by removing or wearing unprescribed clothes like short things and all that, but we expose our beauty the culture way by putting on our rich clothes, the rich beads, and everything that we have from our grandparents.
Right.
Yes.
So certainly, people, on that note, you want to make sure you are going to the Volta region to go and celebrate Hobochochoza with the people of that land, because you want to learn and at least remember some things that are cultural. So the new modernization and the trends that are creeping in will certainly not take away our culture. I have been speaking to Netifafa Ama Yevuyibo. She's a sponsorship coordinator at the Hobe Institute, and Dr. Kwashi Kubo, the head of Department of Dance Studies at University of Ghana, Legon. On that note, we'll take a break. When we come back, Johnny will be here for newspaper review with the politicians. Stay with us.
Welcome back, and let me say happy birthday to you, Namba Suglo. You are with the International Relations class, the master class at the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA. Happy birthday to you from Hanela, Doctor, and the rest of your classmates there at GIMPA. We wish you long life and prosperity. If it's your birthday today as well, happy birthday to you. But also join us now on our WhatsApp line 02021666633 as we get into our news review segment. Rehash the front page stories for the benefit of my guests who have joined me here. Daily Guide says Germany Siemens coming. Mahama bodyguards on rampage beat up journalist, and Samojan files for divorce. GBA waits into KNUST saga. The final newspaper says fresh push for RTI bill. Police prevent media coalition from entering parliament, and majority leader promises November 15 to finish work on the bill. FIFA bans Nyantechi for life and imposes $500,000 fine on him. Siemens to establish presence in Ghana, and Tema residents live in fear over multiple robbery attacks. The Ghanaian Times says President woos German conglomerate. I am not corrupt. That's the Ghana Maritime Authority boss speaking. And FIFA bans Kwesi Nyantechi for life. GRA locks up Surfline officers. And the Herald newspaper says Maritime boss fixes 11 air conditioners in government bungalow as he blows over 1 million Ghana cedis on renovation works, aside 168,500 Ghana cedis paid his private hotel for food and drinks. And AG submits 5-year-old fertilizer container to court in Opuni trial. Mahama offered Joy FM reporter medical treatment. The BNFT says it's too difficult to recover properties from mortgage defaulters, and $97 million lost to cyber fraud in 2 years, according to the Criminal Investigations Department. And the Daily Graphic is latest. The FIFA bans Nyantechi for life, fined $497,497. GS releases academic calendar. First semester single track ends December 22nd. Green track vacates November 8th. Let me say good morning also to the Honorable Ablan Jifa Gomashi, former Deputy Minister for Tourism, Arts and all of that. And she's also a Queen Mother, Mama Jamedo. Good morning to you. Lawyer Abraham Amaliba is my guest. He's a member of the NDC's communication team. Council, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine, health-wise.
Your Wednesday morning, there's the last day of the month.
Yes, and we need to pray hard for the next 2 months so that at least we may be spared this harsh economic environment that we live in. Like you asked me how I am, and I indicated to you that my health fine. My health is good, but the harsh economic conditions are not making me feel well. But be that as it may, we are in it together, and we'll see how the managers of this economy will be able to alleviate the sufferings of the people of Ghana. Yeah.
Anyway, let's start off from the camp of the former president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who's in the bid to become the flag bearer of the NDC one more time. The story is on page 2 of the Daily Guide newspaper. I think it's on the front page of the Herald as well. It says a video which has emerged shows how Parker Wilson was manhandled by bodyguards of the former president during the campaign. the reporter attempted to get an exclusive interview with the former president and also take a photograph of him for his report. But before he could get access to the former president, the bodyguards had pounced on him and assaulted him brutally. Mr. Parker Wilson was dazed by the bodyguards' unprovoked attack and severe beating. Ironically, some NDC activists took to social media to praise those who attacked the reporter and called for more attacks on the Joy News team. Now, we're also told by the Herald newspaper that some medical relief has been offered to the journalist by the former president. Now, my question would flow from the 23rd GJ Awards last Saturday, where the information minister designate said, "Don't beat journalists." And it looks as though the abuse of journalists is becoming one too many. Is this a cause from journalists themselves, or that people just want to abuse journalists? What is it? What do you see?
Let me start by saying good morning to your viewers. I see two wrongs having been committed under the circumstances that the journalist found himself.
Okay.
My understanding of the whole situation is that when the former president had discussions with or deliberations with some NDC delegates at the Pentecost University, that's Soweto.
Right. That's what is Soweto, Kaswa.
No, Soweto, at the Pentecost University.
Okay,
yeah,
right.
Yeah,
great.
That's where the function took place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when, after the function, the former president decided to talk to the administrators of the Pentecost University.
Okay.
The reason being that, don't forget that the weekend we had our youth and women's congresses at Gomofete, and that was a facility given to the NDC by the Pentecost Church. And so the former president went there to, as it were, thank them for allowing the NDC to use the facility. And that was upstairs. And so it was a closed-door meeting.
Okay.
And so nobody was allowed, no journalist was allowed to be part of that meeting. The function had ended. Okay. You could cover the function. But for that meeting, I'm sure it was limited to some few people.
Okay.
Now, it was at that point that this journalist was forcing his way to be part of that meeting. And clearly, I'm sure the security men did not take kindly to it. Now, it was wrong to have physically attacked the journalist. It was wrong. That I will not mince words. But it was also wrong. Don't forget that I said there are two wrongs here.
Okay.
It was also wrong for the journalist to push the boundaries.
Okay.
To want to, as it were, get into a private meeting between the former president and the administrators. I'm sure, as journalists, and you made allusion to the weekend where the awards were given.
Right.
At that awards, I also heard the Chief Justice talk about respect for privacy and that investigative journalism vis-a-vis privacy must be handled in such a way as to ensure that both sides respect each other's frontiers. I may invite you to my house, but it doesn't give you unfettered access into my bedroom. But should I manhandle you? No. And so the beating up of the journalist was wrong, but also the journalist was pushing beyond bounds. There are some places that when the organizers of the event tell you that this is a no-go area, please respect it. On that score, I conclude by saying that there are two wrongs. However, on the issue of the bodyguard who attacked, I think you could have done it better. Because what does it take to prevent a journalist from violating regulations? You only need to barricade or blockade the entrance, and that journalist cannot go in. But to lift your hand and give him a slap was wrong. I must commend the campaign team of the former president for swiftly stepping in, apologizing to the journalists, and even offered to give the journalist some medical treatment if he wanted. I must also commend the communications, the one in charge of communications, Ajeni Boateng, for coming out with a statement swiftly to inform the people of this country what actually happened. The issue has to do with the way it was handled by the bodyguard.
Does it venture into criminality?
The violation.
Does it venture into criminality?
The violation
does it venture into criminality?
The violation of the regulations.
Does it venture into criminality?
Now, I am told that the reporter or the journalist has made a report to the police.
Okay.
That, for me, is most appropriate.
Okay.
Next time around, this security man, and I'm sure in most of those gatherings there are policemen also there, it's proper to hand over such a journalist to the security agencies to handle. And also to caution journalists that it is not at every point that you must have access to every aspect of the program. If organizers tell you that this is just a private meeting.
Do we know if the journalist was told this?
Oh yeah,
this meeting is a no-go area.
Yeah.
Do we know
that? I know from
a fact.
That I know from the statement issued by the campaign team of the former president.
Okay.
And so, based on that, I have come to the conclusion that 2 wrongs have been committed, and I think that the apology and the attempt to provide medical treatment to the journalists is in the right direction.
So the Ghana police, and I want to pick on this one, the Ghana police, there have been a stream of abuses. This year alone, our own, two of our own here have been abused. In fact, yesterday at the press conference, the Ghana Maritime Authority, our own Komla Kluche was heckled in many different forms. But the police will tell you that they are investigating the thing and it never comes up. Latif Idris, remember when Koko Ajidoho was picked up by the CID? He was brutalized right in front of the police CID office. And up to now, we're told that we're investigating. Nothing has happened.
I am not.
So then, these stream of investigations, or supposed investigations, does it give any hope to the journalist in performing his duty? Some have said, let's boycott the activities of politicians if we will be abused at every single point within their fold.
No,
let's boycott their activities.
Both sides need each other. Politicians need the journalists. The journalists also need the politicians.
It does appear that
to provide information to the general public.
It does appear that journalists are often abused when they get within the fold of politicians.
I'm getting there. The right thing is what is happening, where you report to the police. You are raising a concern as to the swiftness or the lack of agency in the investigation processes by the police.
In most cases, nothing happens.
Yes, I'm getting there. Now, it is also important to note that the police, most of the time, will not be at the presence of where the offense took place. And so you need to provide evidence. You need to provide some pointers. So, for instance, the bodyguard who attacked the journalist, the question to ask is, would this journalist be able to point him out? If the journalist is able to point him out, that should be easy for the police to deal with the matter. Okay. But if you are not able to point that person out, then it will take forever, because the police would have to be investigating and because you must be able to identify the culprit before you can start investigating.
Even at the frontage of the CID office where they had CCTV cameras that picked images of
that is no excuse. I'm just saying that there must be evidence.
We still need Latif to go and confirm, Parker to confirm, Tanam to confirm.
I'm saying that
is the man who slapped me.
I'm saying that if you provide that and the police is not able to proceed, then I'll blame the police for it. If you provide, if this journalist who was attacked by the bodyguard is able to say it is Mr. A and the police refuses, is unable to deal with the matter, I will blame the police.
Okay.
That for me is the right thing to do. But there are instances of similar nature.
You need to wrap up.
That has happened.
So Rev can have it.
And we have seen nothing done from even the administrators of the program. I'm talking about the former, the president's bodyguard who punched an old man. It was in video. It was in the video. We all saw it. He punched an old man who was trying to embrace or even shake hands with what's his name, with the person. Now we saw that happen. We didn't see a swift apology. We didn't see anything of an apology.
Counsel,
we have seen in this one swift apology.
Counsel, let me ask you this. So swift apology has been offered, medical support has been offered, but we say until we point out this person. That's
I am saying that until the police is able to deal with the matter, and the police has taken charge of it. In this particular one, the police have not said that.
In that statement, one would have thought that if really the ex-president's team saw it needful to really expose what's happening and bring finality to it, they would have handed over this said security.
No, you didn't read the entire statement.
Are they willing to hand over this?
You didn't read the entire statement. Said that they are going to launch investigations into the matter and fish out that individual. And I'm sure if they do that, they'll hand over the person to the police.
When it's clear who abused who.
Who is you have seen it.
But Parker knows who abused him.
And I'm saying if Parker knows, that is even easier. If Parker knows, as at now, we have not heard Parker say, is this person. If Parker knows that person, that is much, much easier. Let Parker point it and we'll fish that person out.
Okay. Reverend Johnny Tim Fojo is the MP for Asin South. He's joined us here on behalf of the MPP. Rev, thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Johnny, good morning.
It's been a while.
Yes, it's been a great
so, press freedom, abuse on journalists, and now we're told that, well, ex-President Mohammed's team has done the needful, offered medical support. They have apologized, but the matter is before the police. Does that settle the doubts?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to be here. Good morning to your good self, and good morning to Lawyer Maliba, and of course to our esteemed viewers, particularly those doing the viewing from Asin South constituency. It is rather regrettable that we would have a journalist who is just going about his professional duties, abused and brutalized in the manner that was done to Mr. Parker Wilson, and all we hear is that an apology has been given, and even an attempt, a regrettable attempt to even justify that there had been certain incidents and certain similar incidents in the past, and so that is the justification for a journalist to be brutalized in that manner. And shamefully, as we speak, President Mahama has failed to even turn in the perpetrator of that crime. That would have gone to show that indeed you concede fully that, and you condemn the attack, and that you do not support it.
The MPP doesn't have clean hands too in this province.
When it comes to matters of journalist brutalities, it is not a matter of NDC MPP.
Well,
it is not a matter of PPP.
As recent as last 2 months.
If you are to go on that political tangent,
no, I'm asking. I'm just saying.
It is not going to be fair on the journalist. And I'm saying that I'm a politician, and I'm saying that whether NDC MPP or PPP, any attack on a journalist is condemnable.
I agree.
We should refrain from the attempts to play politics with it.
Rev, hold on.
No, Johnny, but let me make the point.
No, you make a point. Let me ask the question. My question is this, and my premise has always been that within the fold of the politicians, that's where you find journalists being abused. We sit there somewhere. You invite us to come and cover your events.
I have already commented on that.
And then we get there, and then we are abused.
And that is an unfortunate thing that I'm telling you, that I'm a politician. And I would not sit here and endorse and be biased in my condemning totally any attack on a journalist by any politician, whatever angle one is coming from. That is a point you must appreciate. Now again, to this particular incident, I empathize, my sympathies to Mr. Parker Wilson. He's a fine journalist who has been going about his duties professionally, and it is also recorded that he has even been an accredited journalist on the campaign tour of ex-President Mahama, and so this is a team member that should have been recognized. In any case, if yes, granted that there are certain areas that a journalist will have to be invited or accredited and granted authorization to entry, should he even have failed to secure such permission, what does he get? He has to be turned away. He has to be explained to, excuse me, you do not have authorization to cover this particular session, so you may have to wait for the next session. Simply that. It doesn't warrant any beating. But you see, one will have to bring into perspective that a man who has been so graced by God, to have, risen from the ranks of member of parliament, some even say from assembly member, to member of parliament, to deputy minister, to minister, a cabinet minister, eventually to becoming vice president, and to the climax as the president of the republic, the highest seat of the land. Maslow's theory of needs would tell you that self-actualization is the highest on the pyramid. And if one ascends the highest seat on the land as becoming the president of Ghana, what more is there to seek? But this is a man who all he cares about, and it has become very evident in his posturing, that is all about his ambition of becoming a president again.
You are not being fair. You are not being fair to Mr. Mahama.
Welfare. No, I'm coming to justify.
Fair to Mr. Mahama.
And it doesn't even matter if journalists will have to be brutalized for that ambition to be realized.
What has the abuse of Mr. Parker Wilson, my colleague, got to do with the ambition of President Mahama? That is my worry. You see,
what more is there to gain? I would have thought that with the dignity, accorded the seat of the presidency, President Mahama is NDC, I'm MPP, but I accord him the maximum respect due him because he has been a president of the land. And that goodwill, that respect, that dignity that all of Ghanaians accorded him and still accord him as president and former president, one would have thought that when the same people, I always even want to set aside the disputes over the election 2012 and even want to grant that the people, legitimately voted him. Granted that, the same people at another occasion felt that no, the promises and the mandates and the confidence we had in you and we gave you the mandate, you failed, for which nearly 1 million excess
what has
voted
that,
you
all
out.
of that got
now,
to
you go home as a statesman, peacefully with that little goodwill and preserve.
John, hold on. John, hold on for me. John, hold on for me. Hold on. John, hold on for me. I think that you are overstretching the matter, and this is why I think so. I'm asking a question about the journalist who was abused. Clearly, as of the time when this journalist was abused, which we have all condemned along this table, President Mahama was in a meeting. Obviously, he didn't tell the security personnel to abuse the journalist.
I haven't made any such
assertion. So when you go on and say,
any such assertion.
Yes, you haven't.
Yes,
but when you go on and say he's been this, he's been that, he's been this,
no,
and you thought that the dignity of becoming president would preclude him, or if you like, would let him shy away from becoming.
You are failing to appreciate the
point.
No,
but you keep going on about what he has become before and what he intends to become again.
It is important we bring it in perspective. What was the occasion on which Mr. Parker Wilson was abused? It was an occasion of a campaign. It was a campaign meeting. It wasn't a private meeting organized by a statesman. It wasn't a private meeting organized by a former president. It was part of a campaign tour.
That's the explanation
in perspective.
That's the explanation by the campaign team that Mr. Parker Wilson was told that was a no-go area. That meeting was a no-go area. Does it settle anything for you?
No. If and I'm saying granted, and I at the outset, I submitted that it is not as as a journalist, you are given accreditation to cover certain meetings and certain, sessions.
Right.
If that particular session was not part of his accreditation, he could have easily been told and turned away without having to be brutalized. So that is regrettable. And I have not sat here to say that President Mahama authorized or instructed somebody to met out this brutality. But what I am saying is that after the whole act, I believe that President Mahama would have been briefed. And I was expecting that by now he would have turned in whoever perpetrated that. That goes to show leadership. That goes to show that I condemn this act. This must have been done at my blind side. However, upon being apprised of the happenings, I have requested the young man to do the needful. And then I will not interfere with police investigation. Then we would all sympathize with any apology that would have. But I'll have to come back to the point that I'm making. That you see, in this world that we live in, we must come to a point where we would also have to pursue the interest of the masses. Okay. We would also have to be minded about the welfare of the masses, and not only always seek to pursue our personal ambition at the detriment of the welfare of the people.
Where do we go from
president, and after being the president, one would have, there are journalists like
you seem to have a problem with Mr. Mahama wanting to be president again.
The reason is that, Johnny, you haven't been a president before. You haven't become a member of parliament before.
I have no intentions.
I know the personal initiatives that you take that are bringing, improvement in the lives of people every day. I am personally aware.
Right. But I don't need to be MP or president to do that.
You don't need to be.
Right.
So if you, in your private capacity as a journalist, have lived well and still living up to your social responsibility of being empathizing with the needs and the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian, sometimes from your own pocket, you raise money and pay people's fees. I'm aware. From your own pocket, you raise monies and pay people's medical bills. And a former president, as was expected, use your goodwill as a former president, undertake some social initiatives. Ask yourself, in the private capacity as President Mahama, what has he been able to do to contribute to the welfare of a single individual?
Well, but he doesn't need to trumpet it.
All that it appears, you didn't trumpet yours. How did I get to know? So that is not the point here. You see, the point that I'm making is that I haven't risen to the highest seat of presidency. Okay. This is time for you to, and he conceded on several occasions that indeed he concedes that he has failed in certain aspects of his mandate, for which he seeks the opportunity to go back to correct. But you see, let me tell you this. You see, there are certain opportunities.
Where do we go from here? John, let's
we have come to this point. A journalist has been brutalized because
a
former president seeks re-election.
How do we stop this? How do we stop this? Where do we go from here? The Ajah Fatis of this world.
Yes, one can go on.
Where do we go from here?
One can go on and narrate all whatever has happened between CPP and MPP. But I have fundamentally condemned that whether MPP did it, whether CPP did it, whether NDC did it, it is still condemnable. Right. And journalists deserve to be treated with dignity. And on this note, to commend highly the gallant journalists we have on this land. We have one of the finest crop of journalists in our part of the world. And then over the past weekend, we had the GJ Awards. Congratulations to all the nominees and the award winners. We had the TV3 journalist who emerged an award winner. My congratulations to her and the team, and also to the GJ journalist.
Had 4 awards.
4 awards, and that was very significant. So congratulations to the Media General, and also to Mr. Ben Avler emerging the GJ Journalist of the Year 2017.
All right, thank you.
And also to encourage that all these abuses, I am a strong advocate for journalists, having the right to go about their duties in that freedom without having to. I'm a strong advocate of that, because we need journalists. We need journalists to bring out the truth. We need journalists to bring out the
politicians ever stop abusing journalists?
Of Ghana. Words are very powerful.
Will politicians ever stop abusing journalists?
And we must come to a point where that should end.
Will politicians ever stop abusing journalists?
And that must end. Politicians must create the enabling environment because journalists are the ones who promote and project the works of politicians.
Amaliba,
It is rather regrettable
that
that a former president will have to, for ambition of becoming a president again, and journalists will have to be brutalized to achieve that ambition. That is regrettable.
You seem to have a problem with former President Mohamed's intention. But Amaliba, I'll give you 1 minute for rebuttal and quickly move on.
I am shocked to my bone marrow that a member of parliament will sit on national television and have problems with somebody
been abused.
Who have problems with
John
somebody.
Alain, he kept quiet while you were speaking.
Yeah, I'll get to if he interrupts me, I'll tell him something.
We can't.
Now,
if we do that, if it becomes,
I am surprised that
a banter will end the show.
A member of parliament would do this. Would having problems with somebody the Constitution allows to Will you behave?
You're a lawyer, you know that.
Will you behave?
No. Reverend John, please.
Will you behave?
If not, we will end the show.
You are being unruly. What is that?
I take exception to that.
I am surprised
Reverend Tim Ford, hold on please for me. Reverend Tim Ford, I beg you, please. He kept quiet all the while when you were speaking.
No, I'm only.
So don't submit. I can give you my pen and paper so you can note a few things.
I've noted them.
So please don't interrupt him.
So I'm surprised that
if I have questions,
a member of parliament who knows what the Constitution says about a second term of a person to run as president will sit on national television and begin to have problems. Has he breached the laws? If you feel he has breached the laws by announcing his intention to contest for president again, all you do, the Supreme Court is there. You go there. But you don't sit on national television and begin to round down the man and make unfounded allegations that President Mahama has never done anything for somebody, and that in his life, what did he do for somebody? If you don't know, you don't come to national television and spew out those things. If President Mahama assists people, improve upon the lives of people, he should come and announce to you. And so, illogical statements are being made here about President Mahama. And it doesn't add up. Illogical in the sense that the Constitution allows him to run. If you have a difficulty with that, go to the Supreme Court. Illogical in the sense that you do not know whether Mahama has assisted somebody or not. You sit on national television and say, what has he done for his life? If for nothing at all, when President Mahama was president of this country, he was able to provide water for the people of Achim Abuakwa. For 8 years or 12 years that Nanado was as a member of parliament of that constituency, he did not provide water for the people to drink.
I think we have left the journalists who have been abused.
Exactly, because of where he has...
So don't follow his lead. Tell me,
yes.
Is President Mahama willing to give off this officer who abused the journalists? Is he supposed to? That's one question on the table.
That's what I'm saying, that one time. In fact, you made a very revealing statement here that President Mahama would have been in the meeting and so wouldn't have seen the action that took place. Now, in the statement, probably we don't have it, but in the statement, it made allusion to the fact that there's going to be investigation to fish out that person. Now, let's wait. If the investigation concludes and they don't fish out that person, and Parker Wilson is even able to point out that person, and they don't do anything about it, the campaign team of former President fails to do anything about it, then you can hold President Mahama.
How long is this internal investigation going to?
This for me, shouldn't take time. If the thing happened, is it the day before yesterday?
Okay.
I'm sure by the close of this week, that should happen.
Close of this week?
By Friday, it should happen. I mean, by Friday, they should be able to fish out that person for you.
The security detail is known. Everybody in it, at least.
That's what I'm saying. I am not a member of the campaign team.
Okay.
I would give some room. But probably, they will be able to provide the person's name today.
Okay.
And so the investigations are taking place.
Nobody is having a take on this.
And once the investigations are taking place, they will provide that person.
I restrain myself with assurance that I will have the opportunity.
What do you want? 30 seconds for you.
I would have expected that when Mr. Amaliba had the chance, as he's saying, I don't know of any private intervention
or the interventions
No,
of
no.
water
If you're asking for interventions,
I thought you would have supplied.
No, if
you're
asking for interventions,
this kind of WAP argument.
Let's not.
Have I got the permission of former President Mahama to be mentioning the people he has helped?
Okay.
Or you think President Mahama goes about helping people and mentioning their names?
Amalba, thank you. John, thank you. John, we're not going to list a chronology of what somebody has done. Page 18 of the Ghanaian Times says, I am not corrupt. That's the Ghana Maritime Authority's boss. Now, Embattled Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Mr. Kwame Owusu, says he's not corrupt and was ready to provide accurate documentation on all projects undertaken by his outfit since his assumption of office, making his first official comment on allegations that the authority under his watch had expended some 135,125 on food and drinks for an end-of-year party. The DG insists, I am not corrupt and have never stolen government property. But Komla Kluche was out there. If we have the VT, perhaps we should show it up now. Komla Kluche, my colleague who's been on the beat and checking this out, is been on the beat, and he wants to share with us the if you like, seeming pinpointing or fingering of TV3 and Komla Kluche. Take a look at this.
The Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Kwame Owusu, walked into the news conference after facing the board on Tuesday morning. His mission was simple: tearing down one by one the allegations of unjustified expenditure and conflict of interest.
We will not yield to people who want to extort. I will not yield.
With the compliment of the management team, the Director General was resolute. He is alleged to be holding 2 passports with different dates of birth. So the question was put.
The minister has instituted some investigation to be conducted by the board. The very board you had indicated that had given approval of your hotel supplying lunch for the stakeholder meeting. Do you trust of a fair investigation?
You are being a leader of championing the mischief. In the first place, you even have gone far to take a picture of my hotel and put it into. So it's no wonder you're questioning. And if you are questioning the integrity of the board, if you are going to question, just as you've been doing, the integrity of the minister, it is not me to tell you whether the board will be fair or not fair. And I don't know whether you think you should have brought timber contractors to do that.
Then a second question was put.
Do you have any relationship with the contractor who is putting up the building that is supposed to house you, the contractor in name of One Apia Global Ventures?
Minister and heads of states, Kennedy and the rest, they have their brothers as this and that. I know of people, and the people are Ghanaians, that have the right to contest a tender. And if it's because of that, they will not be able to contest. I did not give it to anybody. It was run even outside of me. And you're going to stand here, as you have been asking questions, that because somebody happened to know me, they can never do a tender in this organization. Kamala, that is below the belt. Even if my wife was to disclose and tender, and he has the capability to do something, and we shouldn't give it and give it to our enemies, you would have been wrong. I did not make the decision. It was based on numbers. Kamala, please, let us not delve into trivialities. Enough for TV3. You've had enough.
Some supporters of the Director General heckled the reporter moments after the news conference.
And that's Komla Kluche. Interestingly, last Friday, we got a call from this same man while we were going out for lunch. The details we won't share at this particular point, but in the coming days, there's more to come on your screens. Just keep your dials on TV3. Reverend John and Tim Fojo, this is a case of alleged conflict of interest and alleged profligate spending, and now it's gotten to the point of investigation. Komla's question was simple. Do you trust the board to do a clean job, whereas you yourself as Director General is on that board, so you be a judge in your own court? And this is the answer it elicited. How does it come to you?
Yeah, I would want to start this way, that I have to commend every journalist whose work has sought to unravel things that are of interest to the taxpayer, so that the taxpayer would always be assured that there are people who are doing work to compel officials to be held accountable of the resources that has been put into their hands and into their management. And I am pleased that I've seen 135,000 alleged. Right. 135,000 alleged, right. You know, in respect of this allegation.
In fact, the Maritime Authority confirmed it in an earlier press release.
Yeah, which investigation is ongoing. And it's good. If 135,000 has been identified by a journalist as being questionable, and now the opportunity is given for the Director General to defend himself. I know Mr. Owusu very, very closely, and I know the kind of integrity he has, and I would want to believe strongly that his defense will come to justify, you know, what the actual money may have been expended on, whether or not it is 135,000, for what purpose, and if that was expedient. I believe by the conclusion of the investigation will come to that. But I must also appreciate the journalists whose works unraveled some hundreds of millions and some hundreds of thousands of dollars, which were misappropriated, which were misapplied in time past, and to question that, to encourage journalists to be able to go on to unravel more of those, you know, of those misappropriations. We must see prosecution of those which had been unraveled in the past. Here now today we are talking about 135,000. Granted, that is fine. But we must also talk about the 300 million, you know, dollar allegations, the 120 million allegations, the 88 million dollar allegations, which are in far more gargantuan, even if it's one city.
The Attorney General is
even if it's one city.
And I'm sure he has.
Yeah, Johnny, that is my concern.
But let's talk about this one. If you want to, I think that you want to.
I do not want to stretch, but I want to bring it in perspective.
My question was simple about conflict of interest,
and
alleged conflict of interest,
and I'm saying
where the hotel belonging to Mr. Owusu, supplied food to an organization that he heads. And in his response, he says that, well, even in America, you would have brothers of presidents, and in this case, if his wife bid for the put in a tender,
yes,
and was qualified for it, there was no question about it.
In handling of conflict of interest matters, I would not say that simply because the amount in respect of that hotel was 10,000 cedis, and so I would think it's so insignificant an amount. In principle, if investigation must be done, and if it comes out that even if it was one cedi that was expended, and there's proving conflict of interest, that the law must take its course.
Investigation,
but what I'm saying,
the board which approved of this budget and approved of the payment of same is the same board that is going to investigate. Now that's what Komla sought to ask. Look, if you are part of a group and the group approved that this paper should be put here forthwith, and now this same group is the one to investigate why the paper was put here, can you trust the board to do a clean job, a fair job?
So they have procurement processes, and so the board must have approved whatever tender and whatever processes that that hotel procurement must have gone through. If the conclusion of it, this should not be far-fetched for the board to fairly conclude that, yes, indeed, there's evidence showing that there was a fair competition and this company won. I mean, once you have interest and you declare it, that does not preclude your company from participating in.
Doesn't the board become a judge, jury, and referee?
There must be a proof. But you see, the reason why I think that this issue is being overflogged is that I would also want us to bring in perspective the hundreds of millions that are still pending, and here to charge my own people and appeal, my own government, and appeal strongly that will encourage, you know, journalists like Mr. Kuluche Is that his name?
Yes, Komla
Kluche, to do more work in unraveling whether it's 1 city, whether it's 10,000, whether it's 135,000, whether it's 10 million or $100 million. We must prosecute these gargantuan allegations.
Do you
and
trust
failure to have prosecuted till now is a worry to me personally.
Do you trust the board to do a clean job?
Oh yes, I trust them.
In terms of,
I have already sat here to say that I know Mr. Owusu personally, and he's a man whose integrity is unquestionable. That I would want to strongly believe that at the conclusion of this investigation, he would come out clean. So I trust in the confidence of the board but this 10,000 issue is being overflowed.
John,
let us focus on the $100 million, the $120 million that the taxpayer is so minded about.
John,
we seem to be focused on 10,000.
Won't the board become a judge, jury, and referee in this matter, where the board approved of the expenditure and now it's going to investigate the expenditure it's approved of?
I can assure you, Johnny, this 10,000 issue saga, whether it will be investigated, the right thing will be done. The supervisory, institutions and officials will ensure that this 10,000 issue is brought to conclusion, and whoever is culpable is settled. But I'm saying that beyond the 10,000 cities saga that has become a topic for discussion this morning, if a 10,000 allegation has become a matter of discussion this morning, then the Ghanaians must be concerned, like myself, as to the conclusion of the $120 million, the $300 million, the over 100 million cities allegations that are still lingering. And that is where I am appealing to all state anti-graft organizations, IUCO, NACAP, the Attorney General's Office, Special Prosecutor, every official and institution whose mandate it is to investigate these gargantuan crimes and misappropriations and embezzlement, to bring it to conclusion. Let us see.
But you are in government, so
and that is my appeal. I have every right. I'm in government, and I have every right to impress upon my government to ensure that we see to a speedy conclusion of these allegations. Otherwise, it is not going to exude confidence in the public.
Okay,
because they know these embezzlement had occurred, hundreds of thousands. We haven't prosecuted people, and now today they are bringing 10,000 CD issues for us to discuss about our own people. Why? Because we have failed to prosecute $120 million.
Lawyer Maliba, what is best practice in matters of conflict of interest, alleged profligate spending, investigations? What is the best practice? And the question we are asking from here at TV3 is, if Mr. Setra is part of the board, the same board that approved of the expenditure, now this board is supposed to be investigating the spending that it approved of. Are we going around in circles? Are we making progress? What is it? What do you see?
You say, are we going around in circles? I say we are tiptoeing around the problem. Tiptoeing around the problem. Good corporate governance principle, which they don't appreciate anyway. I know there are a lot of examples. This is just one. But good corporate governance principles would tell you that as the MD of the place or the chief executive of the place, first and foremost, you must conduct yourself in such a way as to not to involve yourself in conflict of interest situations.
Said his wife is qualified for the job.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that you must conduct yourself in such a way as to avoid embroiling yourself in conflict of interest situations. 2, did he disclose the interest he had in the contract given to the wife, to the board? Did he disclose that? Because in conflict of interest situations, you are required to disclose fully, and the word is fully, all the interest that you have in the transactions. Knowing that the wife is the owner of the hospital or the hotel or whatever, and knowing that he had a financial interest in it, because when the wife is rich, it definitely flows onto him. Did he disclose to the board the interest he had in the transaction?
Are they not separate entities?
Who and who?
The wife and the husband running two separate.
And I'm telling you that the end result of the wife's richness is also the benefit of the husband. That's what I'm telling you.
Is that enough not to have engaged the wife in providing the service?
Yes, it is enough grounds where you have an interest in the subject matter. You have to disclose fully.
Okay.
The next corporate governance principle is you having the board that, as it were, okayed the spending, now sitting in judgment over the complaints coming out of that. That again is poor governance, corporate governance principle.
He says we are questioning the integrity of the board.
So in this case, who should
it is
hold on please. Well, anti-graft organizations
I'm surprised he's asking that who
should investigate.
I'm surprised
the
that
board did not do the procurement.
Will you
so the board has every power.
Allow him to finish.
Please. You see, sometimes
he knows.
Sometimes when you are talking, I'm saying that sometimes when you are talking, the fact that I'm quiet doesn't mean that I am deaf and dumb. I know I can also talk.
I'll allow him.
Now listen. You would have expected that the board, having already done its duty by okaying the transaction and seeing nothing wrong with it, would decline to investigate this matter.
He says the board will do a clean job.
Yes. And I'm saying that, you see, these people don't appreciate what is called good corporate governance principles. It is not what your mind thinks so. It's not what you believe in, sitting in your room. It's about the principles that govern and regulate entities. Have you followed that? How can a board that dealt with the budget now turn around to preside over complaints about that budget? It's not done. If that were the case, we would have appeal processes in our court. Why do we have appeal processes in our court? If you are dissatisfied, you go to the next. He's asking the question, that who else? As if the board is the ultimate. We have in this country, we have set up an institution called the Special Prosecutor who deals in matters dealing with corrupt practices. These are corrupt practices.
He says it's not corrupt.
You see, I am saying that.
Special prosecutor.
I am saying that. Now, I'm saying that. Don't listen to what he says.
10,000 cities, Johnny.
He is simply trying to protect himself. No thief has ever come out to say that I stole it. I am a thief. It is when the heat is on him. So why would you want to take?
But you can't score. You can't. Is that the implication that he?
Did I mention his name that he's a thief? I'm giving you
a general perspective.
An analogy that no thief. No thief would come out to say that I stole something. And so you will not, as it were, expect that he will come out to say that.
Would you rather use no wrongdoer?
No, it's
withdraw
implied.
thief
So
and use
you have to be
no
cautious
wrongdoer.
with the choice of words.
No wrongdoer is if I am making reference to him. But I'm saying that no thief. I have seen petty thieves all over. And when they catch them, they deny. I have seen thieves at Makwala, they catch them and they deny. I am talking about those type of people. Those people have never come out to say, I stole. Even when they beat them and their mouths are bleeding, they still say, I didn't do it. And I'm saying that what you need to do is to play or compare the things he has done to the governance principles that regulate institutions. Is it proper for a board to preside over its own activities when the complaint is made? And I'm saying that it is not done. But me, the very day the president of this country came out to clear his ministers, I knew that the fight against corruption in this country had come to an end.
You can't say that.
It is dead in the sense that all these government appointees are looking up to the president, and they know that this is a president who will protect them. And so you listen to his press conference. He was so bold, and the press conference for me worsened his situation. He worsened his situation because he admitted that those monies were taken, but he didn't appreciate the fact that
Johnny,
it was wrong for the way the monies were spent.
Okay.
And that is a kind of.
Johnny,
thank you very much.
Johnny, let me sign off with this. I'm interested. I'm pleased to know that a 10,000 allegation is receiving this eminent attention, investigation, and even this media discussion. Now, my question is, if you're a government appointee and you have every information, you are apprised of any information that will be useful for the prosecution of $575 million that was approved by the Parliament of Ghana in 2008, supposed to be used for the construction of the Pualugu multipurpose dam, which has never been done. Meanwhile, the Brazil released the funds and we received it. And you do not produce such related evidence to prosecute. And you have evidence to the effect that the $175 million that was meant
the Attorney General is in your government.
Yeah, I'm saying,
so
and that is advice.
And
that is why the advice and the appeal I'm signaling here on your eminent platform, that if you are aware of all this information, and you do not produce them, and you seem to be shielding somebody, your 10,000 unfounded allegation will come, and we'll discuss it here. Let us prosecute people.
Palugu is in my backyard. Palugu, the
Palugu
one was a lie. The Brazilian agreement was not in respect of Palugu. The Brazilian agreement is what has been used to do the Eastern Corridor route.
Okay.
Because
thank you, gentlemen.
Because of the relocation of the people.
They will always disagree, but I will agree with you that time is up. And thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen. You will always disagree, but I agree with my viewers. Time is up. Reverend John Intim-Forjo is the MP for Asin South. He was here on behalf of the MPP, and lawyer Abraham Amaliba is the member of the NDC's legal team and communication team. He was here on behalf of the NDC. I thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Most grateful. I thank you. I thank.
Hello, good morning to you. Sports News Time here on Newday. My name is Yao Ofusulabi. To our first story this morning, and former Ghana FA chief Kwesi Nyantakyi has been banned from football for life for breaking bribery and corruption rules. FIFA said he also broke conflict of interest rules also in there. Now, football's world governing body launched an investigation after Nyantakyi was pictured taking $65,000, that amounts to £48,000 from an undercover reporter. FIFA fined Kwesi Nyantakyi 500,000 Swiss francs, that amounts to £390,000. Nyantakyi was also vice president of the Confederation of African Football and a member of the FIFA Council. He stepped down as GFA president in June after a film of him allegedly accepting cash gifts was made public. The film was captured by journalist Anas Aremia Anas, and BBC's Africa Investigations Unit, Africa Eye, received exclusive access to the footage. Nyantakyi later resigned from his CAF role and FIFA post, but claimed the footage had been doctored to falsely incriminate him. The adjudicatory chamber of FIFA's Ethics Committee said the ban for life applied to all football-related activities at both national and international level. Well, let's take a flashback to an interview that Anas Aremia Anas, the man who orchestrated the whole incident there, he spoke to Michael Otieje after the expose came out. And this is just to give you a bit of insight into the events culminating into the ban for Kwesi Nyantakyi.
Has been, you said you underestimated what football meant. Some of us knew that once number 12 came out, you would face incredible opposition, and you faced quite a lot. And the key character in all this, we call him the key character because Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi has said a lot of things. He's disputing, suggesting that this was a cut and paste project. He's basically called your approach into question. Says he never,
See, my brother, look, we didn't start this game today. I've done plenty undercover work. It's the same chorus they sing. Cut and paste. You manufactured the pictures, you did this, you did that. At the end of the day, look, FIFA is not a foolish organization. Don't forget, within 48 hours of my petition reaching FIFA, they had banned him. Why? Because they had seen the prima facie evidence. Forget not, I'm a lawyer, and I take evidence very, very seriously. Because look, if I don't, I'll end up going into jail myself. So, all this cut and paste is a fruitless attempt at defending himself. It will end up nowhere. All the court actions he's talking about, he's not going to do it. He knows. He knows very, very well. So I'm not perturbed at all about these oppositions. I get them every single time I do my stories. People have issues with methodology. They're entitled to it. But look, as far as we go by the strict rules and regulation that is supposed to govern a football guru like him, You will not get it. You will lose it in a minute.
One of the things that he's also said has been to try to use entrapment. So basically, the idea is that normally I wouldn't do this, but I'm forced into doing this. How do you react to that?
When people talk entrapment and all that, look, this is a sting operation. It's done by the BBC, done by Al Jazeera, done by New York Times, done by everybody in the world. What is different? When I was doing Osu Children's Home, that was not entrapment. When I was doing the judges, so are football people more human than judges? No. We are developing a society. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. It's same investigative piece that we've churned out over the years. And so those who have their issues with talking about entrapment. But let me specifically go look at Kwesi Nyantakyi. And when I look at him, I feel entrapped by him. And not me entrapping him. Why? A football guru, I pick you from the airport. I put you in a hotel. The first thing you begin to tell me, even before we meet the supposed businessman, is how to scam the businessman and scam the GFA.
Well, so you heard there from Anas Arimiana speaking to editor of sports here at TV3, Michael Otieje, just after the Anas expose came out. Now, let's still stay in on this issue. Last night, my colleague Thierry Nyan spoke to reigning sports journalist Sadiq Adams on what he thought about the ban for Kwesi Nyantakyi. Adams says that he believes it is a good decision by FIFA to weed out corrupt officials from its organization.
Of course, if there are 10 breaches of your fiduciary duties as a FIFA Executive Council member, and these were petitioned, or these were contained in the petition, and only 3 of them were taken into consideration. That's my premise. Only 3 of the 10-page document were taken into consideration by FIFA. It means that it could have been, as I said, live ban is not in the FIFA Code of Ethics. There are 88 articles in that code, and they decided to go by 3. Meanwhile, there were 10 petitions that were submitted. As I said, the fine could have been much higher. It's not only the live ban, there is also a fine which is 500,000 Swiss franc, approximately $500,000. And it's a very, heavy ban. But I said it could have been heavier if FIFA had decided to go by the political neutrality and other contexts which were contained in the petition. It's still a very heavy ban for Mr. Nyantakyi.
Well, away from that, let's go to women's football now. And the senior female national team, the Black Queens, have left Ghana for Lusaka for an international friendly against Zambia ahead of Africa's Women's Cup of Nations. That's coming up on the 17th of November. The team made up of 18 players and technical team left Accra on Tuesday and are expected to play 3 games before returning to Ghana for the Africa Women's Cup of Nations. Ghana will play Zambia before Kenya and then play South Africa's Bayana. The team will leave Zambia on the 5th of November to Nairobi, where they are expected to play Kenya and a pre-tournament friendly, and also play the South Africans on the 7th of November. The Black Queens will return to Ghana on the November 9th to start preparations for the tournament proper. Ghana are in Group A alongside Algeria, Mali and Cameroon, with their group stage matches to be played at the Accra Sports Stadium. Still on women's football, and the Black Maidens will finalize preparations for their seventh FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup with a trip to the United States in the coming days. But with expectations high as always, members of the team have reassured the nation they will not go to Uruguay to make up the numbers. My colleague Nanekia Mankwa has his report.
Since placing 3rd at the FIFA Under-17 World Cup, Ghana has generally struggled to replicate any such success. Prior to that tournament, the Black Maidens had finished in the first round twice, while leaving the tournament in the quarterfinals on 2 other occasions. The expectation is to fight on to a first final appearance, and the signs have been good so far. Ghana's team made it to this year's tournament with a record 26 goals scored in the qualifying games, having beaten Djibouti 19-0 and Gambia 7-1. The team has been engaging in several low-profile friendly matches at their camp in Pram and are expected to embark on the tour of the United States as part of preparations for the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. Evans Adote is the coach of the maidens and is confident his ladies can make the nation proud.
This time round, in fact, I've tasked myself to ensure that I go beyond where the success we chalked in 2012. If possible, I will play in the finals and make sure we win the ultimate. So the way forward looks bright, although it is too early to predict. We are on course.
Mukarama Abdullahi, who led the top scoring charts in the qualifying rounds, also set sight on the individual top awards in Uruguay.
I'm excited because it's going to be an experience for me as individual, and then the whole team and myself as an attacker. I wish maybe after everything I'll be the goal queen, all the players.
Ghana has been drawn in Group A of the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup alongside tournament hosts Uruguay, New Zealand and debutant Finland.
Right, so that's all the sports news here on Newday. My name is Yao Ufusulabi. There'll be more sports news in our subsequent bulletins. But stay with us on Newday. There's more coming up.
Have you been squeezed in that tight spot where the person sitting next to you has a very unpleasant smell emanating from the body, but you can't say? You just hold your breath and pray that that person leaves or you leave first. That is what we're going to be talking about today, body odor and how to deal with it and what people who have it can do about it to help all of us smell fresh air around us. Joining me in studio is Dr. Dennis Bote. He's the Medical Director for HealthNet Medical Center. Good morning, Dr. Bote. How are you?
I'm very well.
Great. So let's start off. When we talk about body odor, to someone, everyone should have a particular smell. So why are we making so much noise about body odor?
Yes, indeed. Everyone has a particular smell. I mean, that's the reason why dogs can sniff. Right. And they know this is my owner, this is a stranger, and therefore it will bark. So we all have unique odors. But it only becomes a problem when it's offensive, that the next person to you doesn't feel comfortable, or people generally don't feel comfortable around you, then there's a problem. And so it's unique.
But is it perceived by the person who has it all the time?
Interestingly, the person who has it sometimes, they are not aware that, because they are so used to it. I mean, he also thinks that this is my body odor. I mean, this is me, you know. But that they usually don't know, but they have to be told some way, somehow.
Very well. So walk us through how, I mean, someone as an individual acquires even the body odor, the peculiar ones we all have. Is it something that when it changes, it's a disease, or we're all born with one particular one, and that's the same one we carry through life until we die?
As if we are born and people deviate. Well, when we're growing up, I mean, when we get to puberty, things change in the body a bit. People begin to grow hair in certain places. I mean, the pubic regions, the armpits, the groin, and certain areas. We have glands in our body that produces sweat. We have two different types. We've got the eccrine glands and then the apocrine glands. The apocrine glands usually come in after puberty. So you realize that most kids will not have any offensive body odor. Right. But after a certain age, when hair begins to grow in certain places, then these apocrine glands are become more rife, they become more alive, and they produce a lot of sweat. The content of the sweat is what leads to the body odor. And not just the content of the sweat, but also the fact that as a human being, we all have bacteria on our bodies. Every part of your body has some bacteria sitting there. We call them normal flora. They're not necessarily to cause disease or harm you. But so in the armpit or under the breast, the groin, certain areas behind the ear, where the apocrine glands are, when the sweat is produced, and I mean mixed with other external factors like dirt and all these things. Now the bacteria on your skin get the opportunity to digest the acid or break down the acid break down the sweat into certain acids and proteins. Right. And it's the mix of these acids and proteins that give the peculiar smell to the person. For example, you know that vinegar, for example, is a form of acetic acid. So you can smell vinegar and know that this is it. And so it's the same thing where bacteria on the person's body break down the sweat into certain proteins and certain acids, and that is what gives the odor. So if somebody is producing excessive sweat, if somebody has too much or allows bacteria to fester too much on their body, then you're giving a greater chance to for this bacteria to do their work, and therefore will give you that odor.
So explain to us how some people will allow the bacteria to fester, will allow the sweat to be produced in excess. What conditions will lead to this?
Some people naturally produce more sweat than others. Some people too may have certain medical conditions that will predispose them to having certain odors. Some people may be on certain medications that may engender smell. You know that sometimes when you're on certain medications, you urinate and you can smell the medication in your urine. And don't forget that sweating is also a form of excretion of fluid from your body. So that can also be it. But some people can be on certain diets. Eating certain types of food consistently can affect your body odor. But essentially, it is about how well you keep these places. So if you have a well-shaved armpit or well-shaved groin, you reduce the chance for the bacteria to grow in colonies or in numbers. So the less bacteria you have, the less breakdown you have. So if you don't wash well, if you don't wash frequently, you don't shave, you always have a bush there, then the more bacteria you have and the more active their breakdown is going to be. If you also have that situation where you, for example, your feet will be sweating anyway, and your feet is always covered in socks, in shoes all the time, you don't allow free air to pass, and even in your groin, I mean, people wear all kinds of tight things and no air is passing, then you create that kind of very conducive environment for the bacteria to be able to feed on the sweat that comes. So one other way is to say that, well, you either deal with the population or the colonies of bacteria you have, or you can also deal with the amount of sweat that you are producing at a time. So then you look at it, okay, so how can you reduce the sweating? How can you reduce the colony of bacteria? When you juxtapose these two things, I'm sure you can be able to deal with it.
Very well. So does it run in families? Is it that if I have a mother who has some body odor, naturally I would have the propensity to have body odor?
It is possible, but I think it all comes down to training. I remember when we were growing up, my mother was so concerned about that. So she trained me. Like, even now, at this age, sometimes when I'm conscious, I sometimes will do this thing and smell myself. Because my mom was just all over us. And she'll go and get something called alum or something, and then you put in her armpit. It's just a whitish powder, you know. And then throughout the day, you don't sweat, because if you come home sweating, they'll give you nicknames at home. So everybody's conscious about that. So our mothers have ways, and the good old lemon is there. We'll come to talk about some of these, the contents of these things, for which reason application of such would help in that. But if you don't get the right training, and you go through puberty, and it sticks with you, it's likely to stick with you for a long time until you make that conscious effort to reduce it. So your body gets exposed to, you work in a particular place, or you have a particular chore of life. It means that you'll be exposed to certain bacteria at the same time. Mind you, we talked about normal flora, but you can also have external flora coming onto your skin, and they're also there to feed on this, and then depending on the kind of bacteria you have and kind of thing in your produce, a certain acid will be released. So a person will have a peculiar smell for himself, and the person must make that conscious effort to get rid of either deal with the bacteria or deal with the sweat.
But anyway, so let's talk about some of the ways we can handle. You mentioned alum, you mentioned lime, but you're going to talk about the properties and these things that help clear at least the body odor, reduce it.
That's right. So one, you make sure that you are washing yourself. If you know that you have body odor, or you've been alerted that you have body odor, at least minimum.
If you know, but we started off by saying most of them don't even know.
That's what I said. Somebody will alerted. I mean, you do well to do it, to at least bathe twice a day, minimum. If you can do it 3 times a day, good. Now, if you are that type who wears things that make you sweat a bit more, wear things that are a bit loose, so you can have air passing, so that you dry up much quicker, so that bacteria would not have access to sweat. You are wearing shoes and socks all the time, and you are that sweaty. I mean, it's going to apart from the sweat and all the scent it can bring, when you remove your socks, dogs come and pick a crumb fan call. It means that there's something that even a dog doesn't want it around. You come and take it and go and put it somewhere else. So you should know that then, as much as possible, wear loose shoes or sandals so that air can pass and then it dries you up more quickly. Again, the other things to do is to look at the use of the natural things. You've mentioned lemon. Lemon contains at least something called aluminum chloride. So and this same aluminum chloride is also employed in this alum I was talking about, that you have a chalky and then you just put powder or even in the form of a liquid. Let me tell you what my mom did. She would put the same alum in water and we put it in straw bottles. And so it becomes like a roll-on. So that it's more of an antiperspirant, not necessarily a deodorant. It doesn't have any nice smell. So you just put the alum in your armpit. But what it is that with the aluminum chloride in it, what it does that it blocks the sweat pores. So it reduces the extent of sweating that you can have. So with the aluminum chloride in the lemon, with the aluminum chloride in the alum, you end up blocking sweat pores to reduce the extent of sweat. Once you have done that, bacteria won't have much to feed on in order to bring out that kind of stench. Again, what we have on the market is also deodorants and antiperspirants. The deodorants will give you that nice smell, have a nice smell too. It may not necessarily contain aluminum chloride, but there are other agents that contain aluminum chloride, which we call the antiperspirants. So you put them in your armpit and these places concerned, and it will reduce the extent of sweating. So basically, the equation is that sweat, bacteria. So once you deal with either of these things, by washing yourself with a carbolic soap, antibacterial soap, you end up reducing the colonies of bacteria so that they will have less bacteria and sweat. Or you reduce the amount of sweating, bacteria won't have anything to feed on. You are likely to be able to control body odor.
Very well, but it also seems as if people with body odor who haven't alerted that they have it tend to counteract the smell by using strong perfumes.
That thing sometimes backfires.
It almost always backfires.
It backfires. You see that you smelling the strong thing. Like it's like taking a drink and you say that the drink has a bitter aftertaste.
Right.
It seems sweet but bitter. So you can smell something good on the person, but behind it you can smell that there was a bad body odor. And the mixture of that is even sometimes worse. Right. So don't just go for, I want to put something nicely smelling on myself, but go to the fundamentals. Try to control the bacteria.
If the fundamentals are weak, you'll be exposed. Certainly. But Dr. Bote, let's also talk about people who bleach. There's a peculiar smell. And what's the science or the mechanism behind that? And what can our women who are fighting so hard to look fair do to make sure that they stop this?
That's very interesting. That's an interesting twist. And it's very common that you see people who bleach and they have this peculiar odor. You wouldn't want to stay by them. I think that they are destroying the surface of their skin. And by that, possibly they are exposing more sweat pores to release sweat. Mind you that you want to put things on to block sweat pores. Right. So by bleaching and clearing everything in the path of your skin, you actually expose yourself to more of this. And then remember that now bacteria would always want to feed on dead stuff. Right. Even for the feet, for example, you know, your feet, under your feet, you see it peeling off sometimes, and it's dead skin. So it sweats and bacteria have more to feed on. So in the same way, you are taking off the natural skin, it dies. And then you have bacteria working on it, and therefore you are going to smell. I mean, it's so awful. I know one beautiful woman, when they get close, you want to run away. I mean, very fair, because they've taken all the medication, but you just can't stand by them.
Anyway, your take-home message concerning body odor and what we should do, and also if they come to the hospital, can you help them?
Yes, I mean, definitely. You go through counseling, and then the medication or anything to help you would be given to you. I mean, basically, I would say that body odor is something that can be controlled. I mean, no matter how far it has gone, how bad it's gone, it can still be dealt with. I mean, basically, let's look at the things we're talking about. Sweating excessively, do anything possible to reduce it. Your skin has bacteria that would always be feeding on sweat. So wash down more frequently if you have that kind of problem. And by solving this equation, it most likely you're going to help yourself reduce body odor. Try to wear things that are light enough to allow air to pass. When air passes over anywhere, I mean, the amount of vapor, liquid there would also reduce. Try to shave. Try to shave down. Don't shave it, just the armpit, let it
with your palms. Yes. Anyway, thank you so much, Dr. Dennis Vote. He is the medical director for HealthNet Medical Facility, and we have been talking about body odor. And as he gave you the final tips, make sure if someone close to you doesn't know, just say it nicely and politely. Don't be rude about it. And maybe give them a parcel of lemon that they can use. You would have helped them, or buy an antiperspirant for them. It certainly will be acknowledged. Anyway, guys, I'd like to wish Namba Suglo, she's the class rep for the International Relations Masterclass at GIPA. It's coming from Hanel Adokta here at TV3. Wish you happy birthday. Stay blessed here. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more here on Newday. Stay with us.
Now, this is TV3 Newday. If you've heard about the Malta Vita campaign, it's coming up. It's a brand new drink on the market. It's taking the marketplace by storm. And I've got two gentlemen here. Rolando Fori is a brand manager for Malta Vita, and Michael Ichampon is the media and digital manager for Guinness Ghana Limited. Gentlemen, welcome. Good morning. How are you doing? Wednesday morning sweet so far?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I'm interested in this Malta Vita campaign, the challenge.
Market, sure.
What is it?
Sure. So just a little point of correction. I manage Malta Guinness.
Okay.
And Malta Vita is the experiential campaign.
Absolutely.
We are bringing to Ghanaians.
So it's not necessarily a brand new drink.
No, it's not a brand new drink.
It's the drink we know, but there's an experiential
campaign.
Right.
We are bringing to the doorsteps of Ghanaians.
Okay.
I think casting your mind back to the times of Malta Guinness street dance.
Okay.
You know that Malta Guinness has this credible track record of always bringing differentiated experience to our target consumers over the years. So this year we asked ourselves, how can we continue to engage our target consumers in a very unique way, which only Malta Guinness could do? And we realized that life is about, getting the little victories. And we were like, okay, as a brand, we celebrate the can-do attitude of Ghanaians.
Okay.
So we collaborate a lot with young entrepreneurs and people who want to do stuff. So we said, okay, what kind of activity can we bring on board to kind of depict what we stand for?
Okay.
And we felt that an obstacle challenge, which kind of tests the real resilience and agility of our target consumers, is something that will kind of connect with the brand, and most importantly, will give the ordinary Joe on the street an opportunity to express themselves, and ultimately win something for themselves as well.
Mike, what are the mechanics of this challenge, the Malta Vita challenge?
So last year we didn't run it the way we wanted to because of some few challenges. But this year we are running the campaign across 4 regions in Ghana. So we are starting in Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi, and Tamale.
Okay.
And so we're going to select 10 contestants from each of these regions.
Okay.
So Kumasi. So first of all, we are starting with Accra.
Okay.
We select 10 from Accra. Then we move to Takoradi and select 10 from Takoradi.
Right.
Then we go to Kumasi, select 10 from Kumasi, and then Tamale 10. These 10 will compete as for the Ghana finale. So in the Ghana finale, we'll select the 10 contestants who will represent Ghana in the Africa Challenge. Now, what happens is that you need to go to our Facebook pages. So you follow us. So if you go to Facebook, you look for Malta Guinness.
Okay.
There is a form that you need to look out for and then print it out.
Okay.
When you print it out, you need to fill it.
Right.
When you fill it out, you need to bring it to any of the centers that will be running the Malta Vita Challenge.
Okay.
It actually is a way of us skipping the hope. It's going to be a long day. So once you have your registration forms filled by yourself, we'll go through and then ensure that you meet the necessary criteria.
Right.
Then again, you need to ensure that you have a passport, because we are not going to select you and then you're going to have a passport issues, because the aim is that you're going to represent Ghana in the Africa Challenge. So once you have your passport, then you're good to participate in the challenge.
You go onto Facebook, look for Malta Guinness, look out for the form, print it, fill it, drop it, or submit it at any of the. Come with it, and then you come and play. But you must have a passport. That's what it is. Let's backtrack a little to last year. This is the second edition of Malta Vita Challenge. Last year we had some persons represent us in the Pan-African contest. Tell me about it.
Okay, so for last year, It was actually a low key for Ghana, though other African countries kind of exploded it. So we just did a recruitment event in Accra. We had 10 people representing us in Nigeria. Interestingly, out of the top 3, Ghana placed 2nd and 3rd. Unfortunately, the $20,000 was just for the winner.
One person,
and
right.
Ethiopian snatched it by the inch of an hair. So I'm pretty much confident that this year, the Ghanaian delegation who really gave a good account of themselves will replicate same as we go through a broader recruitment event in Ghana.
How do I participate? How do I qualify to participate?
So, like I mentioned earlier on, you need to be physically sound. You need to be mentally sound to participate. That's the only requirement we expect.
What age? 12 years?
18 and above.
18 and above,
You need
right.
to be 18 and above, at least legally binding. You have to be sued and can be sued. And so, yes, you need to be 18 years and above to participate. But just that you need to be physically and mentally sound to participate.
Why should I put myself through all this trouble? What's up for me? I go through obstacles and it's fun-filled, I get it, but what's in it for me? How much do I get?
Yeah, so hoping $20,000 for the
20,000
ultimate winner. I'm sure if you have 20,000 on your decks, there are a few things that
no,
money
tomorrow I won't
can
come to work. If I have 20,000 tomorrow, I'll come to work.
We need to give the Ghana city equivalent into
Yeah. So I think the exchange rate is roughly 5. So that's like 100K, and it is not just that, but the sheer gravity of exposure you get, because the good thing is that this year we've partnered with TV3, so yes, you get the opportunity to showcase your talent, and beyond the national event, at the Pan-African level, we have a lot of partnership across the African region, so people get to see you never know the endorsement which will be coming your way, so it's a launch pad into fame, and we believe that with that kind of money and that kind of exposure, you can do something good.
Why are we having this? You've told me about how much we're getting, how I can participate, but where are we meeting?
So as we're starting the first time in Accra. So Accra, we are starting this Saturday at Legon Ayers Park. So we're going to set up from Friday, so you can pass through on Friday, but the event starts on Saturday at Ayers Park, Legon. We start by 7 a.m. We can start by 7 a.m. Yeah.
7 a.m. and we've got to be there. Everybody will be there at Ayers Park. So I come with the form I grab from the Facebook, the online. So I go onto Facebook, I look for Malta Guinness, I look out for the Malta Guinness Ghana, I look for the form, I print it out, I fill it, and I come to the Ayers Park for you. What time are we meeting?
Yeah, so as Michael said, at 7. So you want to start the pre-selection. So between 7 and 11. If you've not had the opportunity to register, you can even come there and pick a registration form. We do a pre-selection, and then we select the top 40 there. We'll go through the rigor of the obstacle challenge, and we select the top 10.
See, Michael, closing thoughts for you. Motivator Challenge.
I would say it's an interesting challenge. I mean, we saw what happened in Africa last year. It's great, and then I will urge all our fans and customers, consumers to actually join in this challenge. And after all, there's a whooping $20,000 at stake for you to win. Yeah.
You sound confident that we're going to win the African Challenge this trip.
Yes.
It was just a slight error from our competitor he lost it by just a second. So, so we are pretty much confident that
this year we're going to grab it.
Sure. The interesting thing is that for the first time, Ghanaians went to Nigeria and beat them to their own game. So I like the new wave of Ghanaians. And
I'm grateful, gentlemen. I thank you very much for your time. Grateful. That's Roland Ofori. He's the brand manager for Malta Guinness and also the key man to speak with at Motivator Challenge. That's coming up this November. So you go on to Guinness Ghana and go on to Facebook, look for the form, download it, print it out, and fill it, and you're on your way to get $20,000 free of charge. Also, Michael Echampo is media and digital manager at the same company. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. Absolutely. More of your comments coming up on this very set. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Man, you got me off dancing, man. Okay, let's check out some of your messages here. And Tahir Ibrahim from Ikpobungu says, I greet the entire TV3 workers. The voice of the people of Mamprugu, Moaduri district hasn't been heard for more than a decade simply because the lawmakers have intentionally and totally refused to pass the Right to Information Bill into law. It's very worrisome. Legislature, why can't you pass an LI and you always mute about this particular bill? Yo, Johnny, how is Bright doing? Long time no see. We'll return to your screens shortly. Now, is the Attorney General interested in Mr. Nyantichi's case? Because the Attorney General still talks of not receiving any document. Just 2020 is around. You're threatening the government at the polls. Now, please, TV3, ask NAPCO officials when will be posted. We are to start work on the 1st of November, but still, till today, we have not been posted. We need answers. What FIFA has done is the best to handle his situation. Baba Bio in Yendi. Hi, I'm a user of the Northern Regional Library, Tamale, and from my observation and what I've seen, the place has been abandoned. No good lighting systems, and even at times no lights at all because they claim there's no money to buy lights. That's really affecting the users of the facility. Government and the appropriate authorities should do something about it. We're straining our eyes from a concerned user of the library in Tamale. That's sad there. Good morning to you, Honorable Musa there, Superior. Good morning to you. I'm sure this should come to your attention. Good morning, TV3. How is my adorable Dr. Empress Nanama doing for me? Well, it's fine. Salam Okra from Spinktest. You see what's happening in our country now? It's so sad. Trust me. You see those times that China was experimenting in technology. We were here laughing and making fun that China phones and other name calling. Now you see the way China's economy has grown through technology. Well, we should wise up, you say. Good morning. It's sad how politicians treat journalists in this country. The issue has gone on for long, but the media will talk as usual, and that will be all. I urge the media to use all available means to get one politician jailed in this country to serve as a deterrent. Opong in Adenta. Jagos from Isawam says, bravo to FIFA for giving the Mugabe of Ghana football a life and everlasting ban that will let him abstain from even watching football on television. Did I say that? No, I don't think so. I'm happy, Pa, because this man really damaged the image of the GFA, you say. It's only in Ghana that a mere bodyguard to a former president can beat up a journalist and still walks on the street of the country freely. And people like Lawyer Maliba are trying to polish it so it doesn't look odd. Joseph Suhini in Savalugu. TV3, I want to use your platform to inform the government to finish the Bolga-Boku road. We're suffering on that road through armed robbery day in, day out. Well, that's you say, Anthony Azuri. And Aziz Online, been a while, my brother. I totally condemn the attack on journalists in this country, no matter the behavioral issues of the journalists. They are there to work for the public, but sometimes the mischief is unbearable. And lack of potable water is a problem in Dokblame and its environment, South Tong District. Interesting. I saw a photo here that I should show you. Okay, there's a photo here that I should show you. Okay, here we go. And this is it. This is a photo of a supposed school where the teachers sit outside in the sun. The teachers are sitting outside in the sun. Interesting. Well, but we've got to go. Thank you very much. And it says we're appealing to MPs of Garut and Pani to fix the road. Well, we've got to go now. Tomorrow is another day.